I want to talk about training to be a pop star and dance today. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the post notification. I am the type where I'm a dedicated dancer. Like, I feel like my entire world revolves around training to be a pop star and dance. Like, I feel like I love that, and then Sam, and the basic things. I feel like out of my main activities, like not counting people, I feel like my world revolves around three or four things, which is dance being the main one. Like, training to be a pop star is definitely the main one. I would say another one is being a Siwa slash XOG Pop, being their biggest fan and supporting XOG Pop and the Siwa family. That's a big one. And then I will say also, being the squad's biggest fan. That's definitely one. And then I feel like there's one other thing which is kind of which is basically social media. And being a social media influencer would kind of fall back into training to be a pop star, because social media is a huge part of that. And that's really cool. And that's something I'll say, that I'm really lucky and I'm very grateful that I'm able to train to be a pop star. And is worldwide, and dance is pricey. This last worldwide we paid $244 for. Usually $299, but luckily they dropped the price down some, which was actually really good. And what that included was 3 months. This is the last month of it. And it's 3 months of basically dancing, but also it includes we have our set classes, or a set schedule of classes, and then we also have access to the pop-up classes that happen on the weekends and stuff, Abby Friday Acro, which I do not meet the requirements for, and I'm kind of because I'm not strong in acro, and with her Friday pop-up class, in read the when we get the email with the Zoom link and stuff for that, it literally there's set requirements that I don't know yet, because I know what they are, it's just I'm not at that level yet, which is very beginner stuff. With the beginner acro, there is set requirement, which is handstand and back bend. And then with the advanced acro, there is other set requirement, which is a front walkover and more advanced stuff. Even though front walkovers are very beginner in acro, you kind of have to have a handstand first and stuff. There's a bunch of different requirements, so I don't do that one. But also we have access to her pop-up Saturday class, which I always do. I love doing. So there's so many things, and this time we actually got access to her Ask Abby Q&A thing with Zoom, which I love, because I'm always dancing for Abby. And so it was a nice break. It was a nice break to just ask Abby a question. I asked her about what her thoughts on XOG Pop were. Or she said she did not watch the show because she does not have a Peacock. Or she said she didn't have that streaming platform, which is Peacock. But but overall, like, she seemed to be, like, really, like, she seemed to kind of be a fan of theirs. She hasn't watched the show yet, so, like, she literally said she's not gonna say anything bad, and like, give a lot of corrections when she doesn't know everything, like, the full picture with them. So that's good. I feel like that was a very good answer because it's like an honest answer / not being rude. But yeah, like that situation. Abby's not rude. She's actually one of the nicest people, but I feel like I am the type where I put a lot of work into training to be a pop star, and that's great. I'm the type where I would much rather, like, I am the type where I will literally skip out on certain things, like smaller things, for dance. Like, I am the type where, like, and what I mean by that is, like, I'm, for an example, I try to, luckily I kind of had this problem once, and then, like, I kind of, like, I fixed it a little bit, which was on that, like, family time, like, literally, like, I will, like, find out that, like, oh, we're, like, setting up, like, family time for a certain day, and I will be, like, I'll try to, like, always find out, like, what time they're coming or something, or, like, all of that, and then I'm, like, okay, then I think about it for a second, and I'm, like, okay, do I have dance? And then I'm, like, if I have dance, then I'm choosing dance over that instantly, not even a second thought. If I don't have dance, then I'm like, okay, it works. And one time we had an overlap, and that was because super last minute, like, and by super last minute, I mean like 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes before I have dance. We got a phone call from my brother or saying that, like, him and his wife and some of her family were, like, kind of near us, and they wanted to know if they could, like, come pop in and visit us for a little bit. And then literally, luckily I was able to compromise it and literally, like, bring my computer out into the living room and kind of get family time and dance at the same time, so that worked. But I'm very dedicated to, like, training to be a pop star. Like, I feel like it's a lot of money because, like, worldwide it's, like, a lot of money for dance training. Then, on top of that, like, last year, they did an ALDC boot camp, basically. It was a boot camp. And thing, and we did not have access to that because they actually did it. They kind of, like, thought that out smart money-wise because they literally, like, they literally put it, like, perfectly in, like, this, like, kind of, like, summer break type thing. Yeah, I think it was during, like, summer break. Where they literally, what they did was they, like, put, or why, then they, like, I'm trying to think here for a second. Was it might have been near, I'm trying. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was like, I think it was in May. I'm not 100% sure. January, March, April. Nope, it wasn't in May. Well, sometime last year, or like right after we had just finished with One Worldwide, and we kind of had a break between the next Worldwide, we paid to do an ALDC boot camp, and that was a lot of fun. And actually, a lot of people complained. I'll say, like, well, not a lot of people complain, but, like, some people complain, like, with Zoom, and I get it. Like, I feel like with Zoom, I was the one that, like, I didn't complain about it, and it came down, the reason people complain, I feel like some people didn't understand, and is that the in-person people had it a lot better than we did. I'll admit that. But we had it pretty good, I feel like, because what we got what we paid for is what I'm saying. Like, we literally, when we paid for it, we paid to take a bunch of dance classes, to basically have dance class from like a certain time. I think it was like from like 4 to like 7:30 or something on like a Saturday. Dance classes, and then an Ask Gabby like Q&A at the like very beginning. We did not get that, but they apologized for that completely, which was very good because things got sidetracked. There were a lot of people in person, and they also had paid for that kind of. So they were trying to like there were a lot of in-person people, and a lot of them had like questions for the Ask Gabby Q&A, and then also like they gave an added factor with a surprise guest, Kathy E from Dance Moms, and her daughter Vivian, and like her like cousin or something, I don't know, or like another family member of hers, Hudson. And so like that was a fun surprise, and just a lot. They apologized to us for that. But then we also paid for Sunday to have a full day from like 11:30 until like 5 o'clock in the evening, like of dance classes. And we actually kind of got until 6 because of the fact that we got to like, I danced throughout, like they kind of did an audition process, and it was for the in-person people, and I danced and throughout all of the audition process because I'm like, it doesn't hurt for me to dance because I'm the person that I will go over a routine that is never going to be used for anything other than one dance class. And I will go over it 50, 60 times before I'm completely done with it. Like, I work hard for it. And I feel like the reason I do that is, number one, it shows my work ethic. It shows that I can work hard. Number two, it shows I'm not lazy. When it comes to like training to be a pop star. In like life outside of that, sometimes I'm a little lazy, but not all the time. And number three, it shows I can pick up fast and do everything I can to make that routine perfect. And then last but not least, number 4, I have fun with it. And it gives me a chance to clean the routine and also maybe even post on social media. So, which is fun. Which, by the way, if you're wondering why I haven't posted on Instagram, I'm going to use my dad's phone and post something today because I have not posted on Instagram. And the reason I haven't done it for a couple of days now, the reasoning is actually because my phone is messed up and it will not let me post on Instagram. My account is completely fine. I can like stuff on my phone. I can comment on stuff. But I cannot post on my phone. And the account is fine because I can post through like the computer or my dad's phone, no problems. But for some reason my phone is just like messing up. So I like can't post on my Instagram story, which is, or on my actual account, which is very, very annoying. Because I love making squad edits, and it's been a couple days since I posted a squad edit, and it's driving me crazy. I'm so annoyed over it, and there's like my dad had tried to fix it, and it is what it is. So I'm gonna try to like post like on my dad's phone today. But like with me, I'm just a hard worker with dance. Like I feel like I am the type where like literally I just work really hard. In all of my classes, I try not to be lazy. If I start seeing myself getting lazy, I scream at myself in my head, and I'm like, you're not going to be lazy. You're going to get up. You want this. This is a dream of yours. You're not going to get it by being lazy. You're going to get it by putting everything you have into it and working extremely hard, the hardest you possibly can. That's how you're going to get. And I literally blow up at myself in my head. And that generally only makes me stronger. That pushes me. Like, I feel like because then I have that thought of like, everything I just blew up at myself about in my head. And that thought stays in my head. And that in a good way, because then it's like, in a way, I almost blow up negatively sometimes at myself in my head, and that sounds bad, but it's actually not. Like sometimes I will tell myself in my head, I'm like, you're never gonna be good enough. You're just lazy, and that like for some people that's bad, but for me that's good because I literally think about that, and I'm like, I'm gonna prove that thought wrong, and then I prove that thought wrong, and it gives me that, this is what I'm meant to do. Like, I'm the type of person where I do better when I almost have to prove myself wrong. That's how I work. And I know I'm not lazy. Like, I'm actually the opposite of lazy. I want this so badly. And I know that if I keep working hard, that I have a really good chance at that happening. And I know I'm talented, like, don't worry, like, these thoughts are, like, literally, I don't even really think them, because half the time, I never believe them, that's, like, my thing, so I have to almost make myself believe them, so I don't start being lazy, I don't start acting bratty or something like, so I work hard, and I make my dreams happen, and that's how I work. I do not recommend it for like anyone really, but for me it works, and that's good. But like I literally am like the type where like today I have a day off of dance, and I'm kind of happy about that because yesterday my flexibility was not great, and I feel like yesterday I feel like some of it, I'll say, is just me having an off day. Some of it, I'll say, is that I would kind of expect. Like, usually Abby will, like, start her, like, warm-up off with, like, something like high knees or jumping jacks or something just to really warm us up first, and that was not the case. Yesterday, we went straight into that grand plie in second. And from that point, it was, like, a lot of stretching and warming up, some of it not insane. But I'm the type where I trust Abby. I trust my dance teacher. I'm the type where some people complain when their kid is not getting opportunity right away, and I'm not that person because I understand it's the training. Abby had talked to us about it. That's the training that's getting you somewhere. Not so much the opportunities, yeah, they're great. They're important, but sometimes the training is equally as important. The training is very important. And some people don't get that. There's people out there that, like, don't understand that. They think, like, oh, because I won a dance competition, like, that looks good and make me look good. And yes, that is true. But they're like, I don't have to work so hard. And that's not true. it's a training is very important. But with what I do, it's pricey. Like, it's really very pricey, and I feel like I'm lucky enough to where, like, every once in a while, and I try not to do this all the time, but every once in a while I'll be like, and there's something that, like, can be a good opportunity for training, which boot camp was amazing. I got so much training, and I felt like a new dancer afterwards. I felt like I came out as a stronger dancer and a better dancer than I went in. I'm really hoping that they do it again this year. Like, I feel like last year, I really wanted to do in person. This year, I feel like last year I was kind of almost down that I didn't get to be in person. Like, I generally asked. It was way too much money for us, and that's fine. I feel like that kind of put me down a little. Like, I was down a little bit, and then afterward I realized I actually feel like I got, even though I didn't get, like, the autographs from Abby or the, like, autographed headshots or photos with Abby, I feel like I actually got to focus on the dancing and not I may not have got the extra, like, fun things like the autographed headshot or photos with Abby, or I didn't really get to do the Q&A thing or the audition for the 1-year scholarship, which that's the only thing that I feel like I really missed out on. But I feel like I got a lot more training, and I got to focus on the training more, because as everyone was, like, doing, as all the in-person people were, like, doing, like, the, like, photos and stuff, like, with Abby. And I logged on early, and that gave me an opportunity for training, because that gave me the opportunity to where I was able to kind of do my own little warm-up and stretch, and, like, my own thing. That way I'm a stronger dancer. More training for me. I literally was able to do, like, some jumps and turns before I even started having, like, a teacher watching me. Like, I feel like in the end, I feel like me personally, I lucked out better training-wise versus the in-person people lucked out better, like, fun side things-wise. I feel like they got more fun, like, extra side, like, photos with Abby and Gianna and all of the teachers, and, like, autographed headshots like that, versus I got more training-wise because I had time to work on my own. And I feel like anyone that, like, was on Zoom, they had that opportunity that I did. Some of them I saw using it, some of them I didn't. And what I mean by that was some people, like, were actually up, like, training and, like, doing their own thing, which is great training-wise. And some of them, and then we're, like, just sitting around, waiting for it to start. I'm the type of dancer, I think smart, not always harder. And what I mean by that is Abby believes in a nice, smart dancer. And what that means is the one that, like, necessarily thinks about what's the best thing for them. Whether it's training-wise or, like, with improv, I think smart because I instantly, like, on the spot come up with what I do and what I do well, or amazing. I know how to improv and make it look amazing and make it look like I've been working on the routine for, like, over 2 years now, and I haven't. I completely improv'd it, the whole thing. And I know how to, like, improv, not to the music, but to what I do best. And that's what improv is about. it's not about doing what you feel like fits with the music. It's about doing what you do best and showing it. And then like switching it up every once in a while. Plus, I'm the type where I'm smart under life because I think about like if I log on early, I don't sit around doing nothing. I'm like, no, this is a chance for me to train. This is a chance to make me a stronger dancer. Or I may not have a teacher watching me, but I'm smart enough to know if I make a mistake to fix it. And that's great. Like, that's generally great. And this isn't me trying to brag. This is literally, I feel like, I'm hoping that you guys take something from this and you learn, like, maybe you learn something from this. Like, maybe you learn, like, oh, with improv, like, maybe you're someone that's not, like, where you're brand new to improv, you don't really know much about it, and maybe you learn something from that. Like, maybe you learn to show what you do best from that. Like, there's so many little things in here that I feel like you maybe can take from it and from it. So, like, which is great. But I do look like, because here's what I try to do. And because of the fact that, I feel like I don't feel like, but I know that, like, I have, like, family and stuff that watch this stuff, they see this stuff. I feel like when I'm on social media, I always try to, in a way, talk nothing but positive about my dance training and stuff. Because, and also I do it not only for that reasoning, number two, being I am a really good dancer and hopefully one day I'll be a pop star. And also because I feel like when I'm not on social media and when I'm just training in dance class, I'm the opposite of that. I'm the one that puts myself down more than anyone else. I'm the one that tells myself, you need to straighten that leg or be lazy. Be lazy. Because lazy's never going to get you anywhere. Like, I'm the one that, like, I feel like I'm extremely hard on myself off social media. So I try to give that good balance of, like, when I'm on social media, I make sure that I'm, like, only positive, and then here and there I'll, like, say, like, I'm not perfect, like that situation. Nobody's perfect. But I feel like everybody's perfect in some way or something, like, and you haven't done anything, like, really negative or rude or perfect. And what I mean, and like, I feel like anyone who, like, actually is, like, a good person, you're perfect. Like, other than that, I don't put thought. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not a good person, I don't put thought. If you're a good person, then you're perfect in your own way. But, like, I generally am really lucky that, like, every once in a while, on like, something that I don't have access to dance related, and I can, like, I bring it up to my parents, and they're like, okay, like, you can do this because they understand it. And what I mean by that is, my mom didn't understand it at first, and my dad didn't understand it, but he always went with it and trusted me on it. That, like, and what I mean by that is, like, he's always been the one, like, if there's something, like, he didn't understand it at all. Like, went into, like, training to be a pop star. But if I went, like, hey, this is something that could really help me out a lot, like, then he's like, okay, let's do it. And we can. And luckily, I never asked for anything, like, too crazy or extreme, I feel like. I feel like the most extreme dance thing that I have ever asked for is worldwide. And it's extreme because of money, like price. But I work really hard. And so he's always kind of in a way like he's always gone with it a little bit. My mom at first, she didn't understand it. She didn't understand like why we were paying so much money and what that money was actually doing. And then I feel like when I started doing the Zoom classes out there, which I kind of did for two reasons. Number one, she didn't understand it, and I went like maybe she could see it. Number two, I overheard her talking like on the phone one day. I actually don't think I was like overhearing it. I was in the room. She was talking to my sister on the phone, and she brought how she never gets a show, and I'm like they were talking about how like, oh, I should show them like what we do in class, like that situation, and but I was like too tired outside of class and saving my energy for class. So after that, she saw it, and that's when she learned. She went like she saw exactly what the money was doing, and she started in a way being like it's pricey, but she also went like it's kind of worth it. Like she said, mainly because I'm happy. Like, and that's like one of their top priorities is like making sure I'm happy and I'm safe. Like, and those two things are good. And then Sam's happy and safe. And sometimes he's not always happy. And because sometimes he gets annoyed, like when my dad and like go to like get lunch or something, he's like, I don't want him to leave. He's like, I wanted him to stay. I like family, and then he gets happy when my dad comes back. It's like he just loves his family being around him at all times. Peace out.